Finding high-quality mental health care can be daunting and exhausting. That's why Cerebral offers convenient access to online mental health services, including therapy and medication management. Cerebral's diverse clinician team can help with anxiety, depression, insomnia, stress, grief, big life changes, and more. You can schedule and communicate with your care team through Cerebral's mobile app and attend your sessions from the comfort of your own home. Get started with or without insurance. Plus, you can now use FSA or HSA. Start your first month for 50% off at Cerebral.com/ACAST.
ACAST powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
I'm Jessie Cruikshank, and I've always been told I have a face for podcasting. So I launched a podcast. It's called Phone a Friend because each week I'll break down the biggest stories in pop culture. But when I have questions, I get to phone a friend. I'll phone a royal watcher to find out why Prince Harry is acting like a real housewife. I'll phone a tween to please explain Euphoria. And maybe I'll even phone a Backstreet Boy to find out if I still have a chance. I don't? Okay. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
ACAST helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Hello, it's your friendly neighborhood Dave here, giving you another pre-podcast warning. So we do kind of spoil plot points from The Big Sick pretty early into our review. So as soon as we come out of the movie, expect some spoilers. Here's the podcast. Hello, it's Dave here. Welcome to the Cinemile. I'm here with my wife, Cathy, who's just told me to keep it quiet because I'm shouting really loudly.
Hello.
And we're here with very special guest, Helen O'Hara, editor-at-large at Empire Magazine.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
And a quick shout out to listener Philip Fort, who's a big fan of the Empire Film Fan podcast, the Empire Film Podcast, and the Cinemile, who suggested that we have you on after having Chris on a few months ago.
He is clearly a man of taste and discernment.
Impeccable
taste.
This guy knows what he's talking about. So thanks, Philip.
We're excited because we're in the VIP bar of Picturehouse Central, which Helen has given us exclusive access
Helen
to.
had to put our names on the door. Helen is pure class.
Yeah.
She's got a very let's set the picture here. It's a corner. It's the corner of the bar. We've got 3 very bright windows. Food's on the way. It's picturesque.
Overlooking London's bustling West End.
Yes.
We could even take a picture. Let's take a picture in a minute and we'll put it up
we'll
on our Instagram at the Cinemile. Easy segue.
Nice.
Helen, you this morning went to the Emoji Movie.
I did.
Poor thing.
Yes.
We did not meet her for that movie.
No, we're not going. If you've read the title of this episode, we're going to go see The Big Sick in about 3 minutes. Our food hasn't arrived yet, so this is going to be very touch and go.
It'll be fine.
The Emoji Movie. Could you give us your review? Could you express it in an emoji using your face? This is a podcast, so I think that would be the perfect medium for this.
So brilliantly. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
I'll describe it. Oh, my, okay, it's some sort of horror. It's the shock emoji. Yeah. That's it. That's a pretty good shock emoji.
Yeah, that's really good.
All right, we're going to get a picture of that as well.
Okay.
That's going to go up. That bad?
It was poop emoji. It was not good.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart is the poop emoji. God help us all.
And what's the plot? Like, what happens?
There is an emoji voiced by T.J. Miller, who's called Gene, and he is meant to be the meh emoji.
Okay.
But he just feels so much. He can't be meh all the time. So he messes up as a result of this and has to go on a journey to become a better meh.
Oh my god, that's just the worst premise for a movie.
It's terrible. Yeah.
It feels like some sort of commentary on Gen Z, that the goal is to be meh, the most meh.
Yes.
I don't think that it's even that deep. I think you've read too much into it.
I just feel like in this age of apathy and indifference,
No.
if that's being held up as sort of a lofty goal.
And Helen
I'm
also
trying to
made a
find
good
some
point
deep meaning
of
here in the Emoji Movie.
But Helen made a good point yesterday when she said that actually kids don't even know what emojis are because kids don't text. So what's the point of this movie?
But this is definitely not aimed at older people because it's so infantile. So it's a very confusing film. I don't think it knows what it wants to be. I think it's trying to be something to everyone. I think that's one of the reasons that it doesn't work.
And
But it's doing
become
very
nothing
well in
to
the box
nobody.
office, isn't it? This weekend in the States.
I'm sure it will do well. I just don't think that it
critic-proof.
deserves to.
It's looking like it's tied with Dunkirk, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's looking
Yeah.
very oddly strong. But anyway, we need to get to the big sick.
Oh, should we talk
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
movie that we're about to see?
But thank you, and also that's an exclusive review because it missed this month's Empire. So
Yeah, this is exciting because you've got the your official Empire review of the Emoji Movie right here on your iPad.
Yeah.
We're looking at it. I'm trying to read it upside down, but
Thrilling.
I'm not getting much of it. I see the word emoji there. Sneak preview there.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
Preview, yeah. So ahead of the print edition, my friend.
So the Big Sick, I'm quite excited about this because I'm a big fan of Kumail Nanjiani and his wife Emily Gordon. They also are a married couple who have a podcast, which I'd recommend
Common as most
listening
these
to.
days.
It's the Indoor Kids. It's a video games podcast, and he features a lot on Harmontown, the Dan Harmon podcast. And he's obviously probably most famous for Silicon Valley, the aforementioned TJ Miller.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, interesting.
So I'm quite excited about this because it's him and his wife have written it together. It's about a true story of how they met. He plays himself. She doesn't play herself. Played by Zoe Kazan in this instance from Ruby Sparks. Is that the
That
one
is
we were
correct,
talking
yeah.
about?
I love her because she wrote Ruby Sparks with her boyfriend Paul Dano.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
All right.
quite interesting.
So what about? Are you guys excited?
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about this, to be honest. I've put off seeing it because I knew we were going to do this, but
Thanks.
it's pleasure. I think I've heard nothing but good, and I think that the kind of angle that they're coming at is interesting because I think the rom-com, it's kind of a rom-com as far as I know, and that's
Yeah.
been sort of dead for the last several years.
Yes, hasn't it? Much to my disappointment.
Yeah, and I think we need to have more interesting ways of doing a rom-com in order to revive it, and so maybe this is one of those, so that's quite exciting
I hope
potentially.
so.
Yeah, and people are really interested about this as well because aside from the fact that it's supposed to be really good, it's just shining light on a different culture. Like he's Pakistani, and that just how dating works between a Pakistani guy and a white woman, and that sounds really interesting. And my only trepidation is it's Judd Apatow. Is that how you say his name? And I
He's
love
involved, I
Girls,
think
right?
he's producing
Girls
it,
is like
isn't
one
he?
of my favorite TV shows, which he's involved in. I really enjoyed Knocked Up, but there's been so many of his movies that I've really not enjoyed, and they've been too long. And this one's 2 hours.
2 hours is long for
It's long.
It's long for a comedy, yeah.
So I'm a little bit trepidatious about that.
I think it can work if the comedy is good enough and if the story is good enough and if you care enough.
Yeah.
So hopefully
We
we'll
do.
all of that.
And by all accounts, we will. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're all seeing this having seen positive reviews, which does influence. So normally I assume you see stuff from press screenings without kind of a preconception, do you? Aside from the Emoji Movie.
Sort of ideally, yeah,
Yeah.
you kind of want to. So I've actually been lucky this week and I've seen a couple of things very early,
That's good.
which I will give you facial reviews of, so I'm not breaking any embargoes.
Oh, amazing.
Great.
Okay.
I saw The Death of Stalin,
Okay.
Okay.
and I saw
Understood.
a South Korean movie called Villainess.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. I like
So-
your facial expressions. You should be an actress. You're good at this.
So I didn't break any embargoes because none of your listeners hopefully have seen
No,
that.
but we know.
No, but
And now-
we've been filming you.
And now all I want to do is just shout it out. Why did you put such a burden on us, Helen?
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Finally, we did want to play, before we go in, a little game that I concocted on
Oh,
the way
who's
over.
our food? Yes.
Oh,
thank
here we go.
you.
So, I'm the halloumi as well.
Oh wow, there's a lot of halloumi.
This looks really good. So we have about 3.5
you.
minutes to eat this.
No,
That's great.
All
fine,
good, thank you.
Quick, finish the podcast.
So,
Wow, this is an
lastly,
incredible
before we
amount of
talk into
food.
this, because it's a real life couple, and only one half of them is playing themselves, we were thinking who would play.
We were thinking, or
the
you were
real life.
thinking?
I was trying to think, desperately trying to think of something interesting on the way up here. Who would play the versions of us to be paired with the real life version of us if we were to make a movie about ourselves? And we decided to give Helen the deciding.
Oh, the pressure.
So a
Exciting.
hotter version of both of us.
Who's a hotter
As
version?
if that were possible. Oh. Well, I mean, I think, right, just purely on looks, okay, I think I would go for Felicity Jones.
Okay, I'll take that.
And
Oh yeah,
very good looking.
the Rogue One.
The
lady.
Rogue One,
Yeah.
Rogue One, Felicity Jones. And I'm thinking maybe, let's keep it Star Wars and say Donald Gleason, because you've got a little bit of
Okay.
red in the
Okay,
beard,
yeah.
and so does he.
I'll take
so,
that.
You know.
I'd accept that because I
He's a-
really
he's a
fancy
great
Donald
actor.
Gleason. I
Well, I
love
mean,
him.
who doesn't?
Yeah.
He's awesome.
This worked out great.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see you starring with Donald Gleason in the movie.
See,
in our
I'd be
lives
happy, very happy to play a romantic lead with Donald Gleason.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be happy if you
I'm not
be
sure me
snogging
and Felicity Jones
No.
would have the best chemistry.
Why?
Yeah, because I'm still so bitter about Rogue One.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't be able to get past that.
Okay, we need to
all right,
go
we
and
better
eat our
eat this
food.
and go inside.
Yeah.
We'll
All
talk
right.
to you guys soon. Thanks.
Are you judging Pakistan's next top model?
You know how we have arranged marriage in my culture?
Oh my god, I'm so stupid. Can you imagine a world in which we end up together?
I don't know. I'm looking for Emily Gardner. She was checked in tonight.
There's an infection. We put her in a medically induced coma.
Coma.
You should call her family.
Thank you, Kamala. We're gonna handle things from here.
I think I'm just gonna wait anyway.
You guys broke up. I'm not sure why you're here.
I'm just gonna stay for a second. Is this seat? Okay. Is that lady still looking at me?
Okay, so we're just out of the Big Sick. We have managed to secure the exact same window seat.
This is a good day.
This is just it's turning out so well.
It's very hard to get this seat. I hope you appreciate that. And
Yeah,
had
we
it
just think it's
twice.
really easy to get.
Well,
Yeah.
when we walked in, Helen just basically just threw her name around. Didn't you were like, there was a bit of a kerfuffle. They were like, "I'm sorry, ma'am, that seat is taken," and you were like, "Do you know who I am?" And they didn't.
No
we
one
were,
does.
You were very clear as to who you were. Things got a bit heated, but thankfully, you know.
The manager was cold, but I think we've sorted
But
it out.
once you headbutted him, your position was clear, and here we are.
Yeah.
So thanks for fighting for a corner, right? Corner.
No.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying here.
Dave's
I'm
really
trying
trying.
here. I'm dying. So let's talk about that movie that we saw. Helen,
Yeah.
Helen, what were your thoughts? We won't do any. We're not really sure. Can you spoil real life?
Can you spoil real
it
life?
happened. If you don't know, I would say if you don't know the details of how they met, then go away and Google it or watch the movie.
Yeah, I mean, we'll spoil it in as much as the trailer would, I think. It's fair to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We
Yeah.
will talk about the general details of the plot, which is that I'll let you do it.
Okay, so Kamal Nanjiani plays himself as a struggling stand-up comedian in Chicago, which he presumably once was before he gained fame and fortune.
And you spotted Chicago straight away.
I was
And
there
the-
recently for a
yeah.
thing, and so now I'm like, I knew that. But do you not find
We're
like
Chicago?
Do you not find from watching films you learn American skylines?
A little,
Yeah, you
a
do.
little bit. Yeah.
Like I can spot
Yeah.
not every city, but I can spot a lot of them just from watching too many films. So
Yeah.
and that's
There's
one of
a
them.
pub quiz section in this. I think.
Definitely, there could be. Anyway, so he meets a girl when she's not quite heckles him, but calls out at his comedy night, who's played by Zoe Kazan, as we discussed, and things they start dating. Things go well for a bit. Things go less well for a bit, and also she falls into a coma.
Yes.
Yes.
Hence the title of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And did you
what,
like
what
it?
do you think?
I really enjoyed it. I really, really liked it. I think, I mean, you can tell it's based on a true story in the sense that it's not as neat and pat, especially at the ending,
Yeah.
as a Hollywood created film would be. I feel like there's a little bit of Lord of the Rings syndrome there at the end.
All the endings.
All the endings,
Yeah,
because
there was a lot of
but
endings.
that's because I think it's based on real life, and there's a lot of things that happen in real life
Life
that don't
doesn't have
happen in
neat
movies.
endings.
That's it.
Yeah.
Having said that, I just thought it just had so much heart and warmth, and it's a lot about parents and not just about a relationship between two people.
Yeah.
It's a lot about his relationship with his Pakistani parents who want him to marry a Pakistani girl. It's about her relationship with her parents and their relationship with each other as she's in this coma. I thought they were great. They reminded me so much of my mum and dad's.
Which hers or his?
A bit of both,
Yeah.
but more hers, I think. Less with the infidelity, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Is that a spoiler? I hope that's not a spoiler.
We'll put it at the top. Let's
Yeah.
just put a spoiler warning on
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Not like in every detail, but just in something about the energy of her parents, I think really reminded me.
Yeah, they
of
felt like a real
mine.
couple.
They did, yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. So, like, full marks to Ray Romano and Holly Hunter.
Yeah, they were excellent.
They were
oh,
really
Holly
good.
Hunter. That's who that
Holly
was.
Hunter.
I was like,
Yeah.
that was bugging me. I was like, who is that? They were
No,
excellent.
because you can always tell with her accent.
Cathy?
Despite the fact.
What are your thoughts?
Sorry.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just talking about Holly Hunter's accent. Yeah, I loved it too. I cried a lot and laughed a lot.
Yeah.
And I know I had said it beforehand, I thought it would be too long, but actually I didn't find that. Because it had a lot to say about Muslims in America as well, which was really interesting. And like, a family that's emigrated to the States and how they're trying to retain their own culture whilst integrating.
Yeah.
So I found that side really interesting, and that really added to the depth of it, where I've seen lots of comedies that run longer than that and have no depth and no second layer to them. And then I've really enjoyed their relationship. I mean, I'm a big fan of hers. Him, I only know from Silicon Valley, and this, I think he really stands. I mean, it's really amazing to see him as a leading man, because he's not your typical leading man. Someone took a leap of faith in letting him play himself, because he's not a very accomplished actor, I would imagine. He's more of a comedian, but I think he's a really good actor. And I totally fancy him now after that movie. I thought he was very attractive.
Great eyebrows.
Yeah,
like,
I kept looking at the eyebrows. So I thought I just.
Getting proper mental health care can help you feel more like you. That's why Cerebral offers convenient access to online mental health services, including therapy and medication management. Cerebral's diverse clinician team can help with anxiety, insomnia, relationship issues, workplace stress, and more. You can schedule and communicate with your care team through Cerebral's mobile app and attend your sessions from the comfort of your own home. Get started with or without insurance. Plus, you can use your FSA or HSA. Start your first month for 50% off at Cerebral.com/ACAST.
I just love when you're watching something and you know the person wrote it and they're really talented, and they just allowed the plot to breathe, and it was just naturally funny. It wasn't lame gags. So yeah, I just enjoyed it all round. Yeah, I mean, really.
They wrote it themselves. It's about their lives. You know, they do say that's how writers should write what you know.
Yeah,
and
they're very specific story, like a very interesting story. So all around, I just thought it was great.
I loved it as well. I'm curious as to how much is sort of narrative embellishment in and around the details, because I'm pretty sure there are some moments that are a little bit neat.
It has to be. I mean, they've obviously, no like day-to-day interaction is that funny or interesting. You have to be embellishing. I'd be interested. I bet the infidelity plot from her parents is probably added in.
I was wondering that as well. It felt maybe like a,
because if it had happened, why would they? They wouldn't let it out in the movie. Right?
But then actually, on the other hand, if it hasn't happened and they've wrote this completely true to life, then they've just added in horrible detail about her parents if it's not true.
And there wasn't a real life picture of them at the end, I don't think, which was interesting.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
I did enjoy the real life pictures.
Well, while we're talking about the end, it's nice to see that they had a Pakistani wedding and that they did actually accept him. That final scene with him and his dad, where he was being kicked out of the family, was just lovely and funny. I think that's what I really liked about this movie. It was both. It managed to make you sort of laugh and cry at the same time. Many scenes, like they were sweet moments that were almost always tinged with a bit of laughter. And it just really worked. The balance was right, and it wasn't too long. It felt there were a lot of endings, and the beginning was quite long as well. There's a lot of relationship build up, but all those little scenes and little moments were fun, like her trying to go for a coffee in the middle of the night because she didn't want to use the bathroom. It felt like it's rooted in a lot of stand-up comedy. So
that is a sort of relationship milestone, right? Isn't
and
it?
she didn't want to be naked in front of him, and he's like, but we just had sex, and she's well, you still can't see me naked. That was the other thing that was really good in this movie. Another layer, like the C plot, was the comedy stuff. It's like you're genuinely watching stuff about real stand-up comedians, so that's interesting too. Like that's like the real scene they're in, because we were watching another Judd Apatow thing, which was produced Crashing, that show that was on Sky Atlantic. And it was about every week had stand-up comedians, including TJ Miller. And it was kind of funny, but we got sick of it. And it was too authentic. Yeah. Whereas this was like authentic enough, but interesting.
Peter Holmes.
We got sick of that one. Yeah. But this was like on the right side of detail.
The other thing this reminded me of a lot was Master of None, the Aziz Ansari show on Netflix. There's, there are some similarities there. He in that show, he has his own parents playing his parents in the show, even though he's playing a character, so it's kind of the reverse of this. And he explores that sort of the children of Muslim immigrants experience, which is a very interesting one in America, and I find all that fascinating. And there was, but they mind a lot of humor in it as well. All the family dinner scenes. and the reams of girls that the mother kept dropping in.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, all the arranged marriages that they were trying to inflict on him. And I think the other thing about this comedy that is way better than a lot of other of these Judd Apatow ones is that it wasn't crude, because that's his biggest downfall, I think, is when they go too crude.
Yeah, and they go for the kind of easy laugh that way, and it does feel really irritating. Like sometimes I think they shoehorn it in as well. I mean, so Bridesmaids I think is the most egregious example where that you've got that scatological scene in the dress.
Oh yeah, that
shop.
always annoyed me. That scene.
Completely agree.
Yeah, it ruined the movie.
It just it takes you out of the movie. It just feels so tonally inconsistent with the rest, and there was none of those kind of missteps here, which I think is great. The other thing I think I do like, because I wang on endlessly about sort of manic pixie dream girls and these women who don't feel like any women you've ever met, and this one obviously for very good reasons didn't feel that way. So she wakes up from a coma and she doesn't fall instantly into his arms.
Yes, which I was expecting.
She's like, you've changed, I haven't changed, I was asleep, this is not what you think is happening right here, this is not happening.
And I did think of that manic pixie dream girl when she was in the coma. I thought it was interesting that he's suddenly really into her now that she's comatose, but actually it had been developed enough that he was genuinely into her. It wasn't a while you were sleeping moment.
I was just thinking of that movie. I was going to say, is this the best rom-com since coma-based rom-com since
but what's so good about it is it's like totally elevated the rom-com, because I mean, I'm like you, right? I lament the fact that there's no rom-coms anymore, because it's like, when they're done right, it's one of my favourite genres. But this was a rom-com, but without being too predictable, without ridiculous looking leads, you know, with more substance to it. But was like proper funny, like not just like, it was like laugh out loud funny, and
we were
also
all
really romantic. So,
and it wasn't that busy in there, and the cinema was pretty quiet, and there was still a lot of laughter. I think that's a real test of a comedy. I think poorer comedies can skate by on packed theatre, because laughter sort of encourages laughter. It's contagious, but that was maybe 10 of us in there across a huge. It was a big cinema, a lot of empty seats, which is sad, because it means that this movie maybe isn't going to do.
To be fair, it's a Sunday afternoon. Not everyone's as sad as us.
But it's very funny. I feel like this is the kind of movie I would watch at home on my own one night and still laugh out loud.
Same, very much so.
Which is a hard thing to do.
And imagine you stumbled upon this movie, you'd be like, what a delight.
Oh yeah. I think there's also a lot of little moments that you're only going to pick up second, third, fourth time. It's one of those ones that's got rewatchability. There was a tiny cutaway shot at one point at a family dinner to his brother, and just his expression made me laugh, just because I happened to catch it.
And I feel like I did like the brother though.
But I feel like there's little moments like that are going to make you laugh more the second time you see it. Just
definitely.
Because you're kind of into the character by that point.
I would definitely rewatch.
And the scene, my favourite scene was probably the one between him, the lead, and the dad, who was Everybody Loves Raymond, and they're sleeping side by side, and the dad's kind of pouring his heart out to him, and he's like, "Can we please stop this conversation?
Is there anything else we can talk about ever?"
It was really fun, and he's a really good serious actor as well. That guy, Ray Romano, Like, I thought the parents straddled that line perfectly between like parents who are grieving and then, you know, people who are having funny moments. Like, it was really, like, it was properly funny when someone heckled him in the gig about being an ISIS, and then Holly Hunter just went mental and started attacking him. And they were addressing, in that scene, they were addressing like grief, racism, humour, and like, I thought that was really impressively handled.
So true. It's almost a love story between Kumail Nanjiani and her parents.
Very much.
In a way. It's very traditional. They kind of hate each other at the beginning. It's an awkward situation, and they slowly all fall for each other.
I wish we'd seen his parents meet her, but I did like that we saw her meeting the brother at the end, and the brother just said, "Oh, I've heard a lot about you," and she was so happy.
That was nice.
That was really nice.
Who's that actor? He's kind of familiar, and he was excellent.
I didn't recognise him. And I love the way they're like, you know, he's like, you have to stay with your culture and you have to marry a woman from Pakistan, but they've just gone and played baseball and eaten hamburgers. So that was really interesting
as well. It's such a contradiction, isn't it? I found all that stuff really insightful. What was the one of their cousins went off and married an Irish girl and has never been seen since.
The worst.
And they called the son David. Which I will now refer to myself as.
I think it's Dave, actually.
That was really good.
It was just excellent.
And do you know this is getting a lot of Oscar buzz?
Is it?
Yeah.
I'd like to see.
I definitely think it'll be up for best screenplay.
Screenplay. That's where you put the clever indie comedies.
And Bridesmaids weirdly got a screenplay one.
It did, but that's all that comedies get at the Oscars. It's
I
a great tragedy.
Could get a best supporting. putting it out there.
I think it would be great if he did.
Yeah.
I don't think he will.
No.
Yeah. I've lost all faith in those kind of nominations. I just don't think they happen enough.
Yeah, they'll all go to everyone in Dunkirk because they're all supporting actors.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he would get a nomination for lead actor, even though, and she wouldn't get one. I just don't think they're the kind of roles that get nominated.
No.
But yeah, if
you're
anyone,
right. They were good supporting roles.
Well, here's a question: has an actor ever been nominated for an award for playing themselves in a movie? Please, somebody find this out. And
I
write
don't
in
know.
if that
Put
exists.
us on the spot, Helen, the film crochet.
Well, I have gone through. I did a big feature for Empire one year, and I went through literally 80 years of Oscars.
Oh wow,
80 some years, and I don't remember the answer. I don't think they have. I know that a World War II hero called Audie Murphy played himself in a movie about his life, but I don't think he was Oscar nominated for it. I mean, he got the Congressional Medal of Honor and all sorts of other awards, so he wasn't crying himself to sleep.
No.
But I don't think he got an
But
Oscar.
unless you get the Oscar, it's
Who wants that? Yeah, he needs a Tony, an Oscar. What's that thing where you
EGOTs.
EGOT, that's it. Yeah. All right, there's no Congressional Medal of Honor in that, is there?
No, there's not. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. EGOTs,
Yeah, he got none of that. Just glory and honor at wartime. But I think it's quite a new thing, aside from someone playing in like a war epic. It's like it's a comedy thing. Like this guy's doing it. It's the kind of thing that oh my god, I've totally blanked. Curb Your Enthusiasm. Those kind of shows do it. But it's outside of comedy, it's not a normal thing to do, to play yourself.
No.
And interesting with Larry David and I guess Joey from Friends, what was his name?
Matt LeBlanc. Oh yeah, I love him playing himself in episodes.
Those are always very
episodes.
heightened characters. That they're sort of caricatures of yourself. They're ridiculous people, but this Kumail Nanjiani feels
dialed
like
down.
It's him, isn't
Yeah.
it? So, is he even acting?
The closest I can think of is 8 Mile. Or,
Oh yeah.
Or Get Rich and Die Trying.
Oh dear.
8 Mile did win an Oscar for his song. So
so technically.
But it wasn't technically him because it was a fictional character.
It was a fictional character who just happened to have
This is the closest we've got so far.
Yeah.
But what do you think of this movie? I think this is the perfect year for this movie as well. Like, it's so timely. All the stuff they were talking about with being Muslim in the States. I just thought it was... Yeah. It's just a really good time to be watching this movie.
Just a really good time to be reminded of everyone's shared humanity.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah, that is absolutely true. I think it's... yeah, you're right. It is. It's a very good time to be watching this, and just be reminded that immigrants are not the enemy.
Yeah,
which I think people have a tendency to believe at the moment. So,
it's just easy for people to blame someone else for their problems.
Yeah.
Helen, thank you so much for A, coming on the podcast, B, securing this brilliant little cubby hole, and for fighting off all the managerial staff.
You're clearly my good luck charm for getting this particular table.
Yes.
So,
and we do special thanks for the Emoji Movie cookies you stole from us. She stole us cookies from the
end. They were delicious.
They were really delicious.
Unlike the movie, it seems.
We took a photo to we'll put on our Instagram or Twitter. So basically, they're like normal cookies but covered in emoji icing, so they look really gross, but they're amazing.
They're
they're really good. Yeah, so that was a good haul.
So something good came out of that movie.
Yeah.
Hurrah!
Yes, thank God for that. Helen, do you want to tell the people where they can find more of your
I'm
work?
on Twitter at Helen.O'Hara. So I'm editor at large at Empire, and then I write for various other places as well when they let me off, and yeah, that's it really. I'm no
the
fixed
Empire
about.
Film Podcast.
And the Empire Film Podcast, every week. And then twice some weeks when there's a big movie out and we do spoiler podcasts and that kind of thing.
You guys are busy.
Yeah. We do try to keep busy, What we're trying to keep up with the Joneses here, yourselves doing these things. So somebody has
more
to.
the other way around. And we are at the Cinemile as always. Please tweet us or Facebook us or Instagram us and let us know who has won an award for playing themselves in a movie.
Yes,
this
please.
is going to bug
totally
me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Someone's got to have done this.
And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, and also please, if you haven't already done so, to leave us a review, because that's very helpful.
Yes, and go check out Kumail Nanjiani and his wife's podcasts, because I think they're very good.
Yeah.
The Indoor Kids.
Great idea.
They don't need the promotion.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they need a plug from us.
All right. Thanks again, Helen.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
So, 9/11. No, I mean, I've always wanted to have a conversation about it with people.
You've never talked to people about 9/11?
No, what's your stance?
What's my stance on 9/11?
Oh, anti. It was a tragedy.
I mean, we lost 19 of our best guys.
Huh?
That was a joke, obviously. 9/11 was a terrible tragedy. And it's not funny to joke about it.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey, I'm Kim Holderness.
And I'm Ben Holderness.
We host the Holderness Family Podcast every Tuesday.
You may know us from the silly videos that we make online.
Or a book about marriage called Everybody Fights.
Or as winners of season 33 of The Amazing Race.
Still can't believe that happened. Listen, we do a lot of stuff, but our podcast is our most favorite thing.
Yeah, because every week we get to sit down face-to-face, talk to each other about marriage, family, mental health, or just anything that we want to know more about.
Sometimes we have expert interviews, sometimes it's just us, but our goal is to bring some joy and laughter into your life every week.
Our other goal is that maybe you will learn something as well.
Right. So search the Holderness Family Podcast and check out our most recent episodes. We have one about staying organized with creators of the Home Edit.
And one about being diagnosed with ADHD as an adult.
We hope you'll join us.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.